10 years later with the SUUNTO CORE all black. I have been using this watch for that amount of time, a decade of active duty military service. This has been on my wrist for so many years. And we are going to discuss if this watch still holds up to a modern society or a modern time watch, even though it lacks some modern features. That is actually a huge benefit in the longevity of this watch. So that's what we're going to discuss. Also, along with durability, where has it been? How abusive have I been to it? And again, my recommendation and kind of getting into the technical specs of this. So we're going to dive into this thing and explain all that. So stay tuned. All right, so like I said, 10 years later, right? This thing has been on my wrist for a very, very long time. Specifically since 2014 is when I purchased this very watch. And since then, I have been through multiple different locations with it, right? All over the world, South America, the Middle East, Europe, United States, just traveling. And as you can see, this thing has been abused. I mean, the bezel is almost fully worn back to its original color before it was even painted, and I've gone through so many batteries with this thing, but yet it keeps on ticking. So why would you be interested in this type of watch and maybe, you know, not going to a modern Garmin or something like that, which a lot of people push? And I like Garmin's too. I have quite a few of them, but this thing excels in a certain particular environment that most often don't see or would often not want, right? So the main thing of this is actually a dumb watch. It is not a smartwatch. It's actually a dumb watch, but yet it has a ton of features because it is an ABC watch or an altitude barometer and a compass. But it's cool because all those features are built in internally. This does not communicate outward with anything, or nothing communicates down with it. It's not a receiver, it's not a transceiver, it doesn't do any of that. It is its own standalone watch. And that is the cool thing in a modern society, especially if you're military, which we're going to dive into, because myself being still active duty military, over a decade worth of service, this thing is very cool because it excels in one category, it being a dumb watch. So for some people that wouldn't understand why do you need that, well, there's a thing called OPSEC and also, compartmentalization of information. I can't go in certain rooms or certain locations because, or at least with, like say a cell phone or anything Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, compatible, anything like that. I would have to leave it outside as I would go into this room. And now I have no way to tell time once I'm in that room. But with this watch, you can do that. Of course, most people would look at it and go, hey, you're not wearing this watch. Yes, correct. I do cycle through some other watches. This is a Marathon GSAR, and this is a mechanical or a automatic watch. So if you just move, it doesn't need batteries. It just tells you date and time. That's it. But of course, this thing has altitude, barometer, compass. It has, a stopwatch, chronograph. It has a timer, countdown timer, which is super awesome. I would highly recommend, honestly, sunrise, sunset on there, and the timer, like I said, count down. You can adjust it. That is a huge feature on watches that I really like, is counting down, right? And in that realm, this can excel in those OPSEC locations. So durability, right? Okay, let's dive into that piece because that's what a lot of folks are interested in. Yes, I have abused this thing. As you can see, there are scratches that I accidentally put into it. I was jumping down out of a MRAP or a armored vehicle on one of my deployments, and I just completely accidentally scrubbed the side of it and put this big gash in it. It doesn't care. It just continues to go. The bezel is movable, right? So you can do the whole north or finding north with this watch, just like you can like an analog watch up here. You can always find north as long as you know which way is the sun, and you can look at it, right? Really cool. The feature set in here, And then also a big benefit is it's not rechargeable, which actually is a benefit. It takes 2032s, user replaceable, meaning you can replace the watch batteries in this. I get about 9 months worth of use out of this watch before it dies and I need to replace it. That's pretty good having this many features, really pushed into it. So again, why would you buy this watch in a modern realm? Because there are Garmin's and other stuff out there on the market, which I am a Garmin fan again, but again, this is a simplistic watch. It doesn't receive notifications. So if you're a person that doesn't want to know, like if someone's texting you or you're going to a location, you're not allowed to have that, this is an exceptional watch. If you're maybe a family member or something, or a friend is going off to basic training or going into the military pretty recently, this would be a really good watch to either start that individual off on, or if they just like a traditional mechanical watch, that works too. But depending on what kind of mechanical watch you send them with, it might get stolen. Something like this is in that realm at the moment that everyone's just kind of like, it's a cool watch and whatnot, but it's not worth it to steal it like a G-SAR or, a Garmin or something like that. So definitely recommended in that aspect. Now the price right now, right? Right now, or let's say originally it was $250. That's how much I paid for this back in the day. And it's currently sitting about the 180 mark, which is not bad considering other options and stuff like that. As a legacy piece, this is actually what I was originally, like a timeline-wise, this is what I was using prior to going to the SUUNTO CORE. This is an Ironman triathlon. This thing is an awesome wristwatch, but it is not an ABC watch. It just tells time, and that's about it. Of course, this one's the barometer and the compass and the altitude, right? That's kind of what it has going for it, along with a couple other features, dual time range and stuff like that. But having those extra features is really beneficial. Eventually, in 2019, yes, so I went that long without shying away from that watch, I went to a Garmin, which is a Tactics Bravo. So kind of a older model, but it worked really well. So this is kind of the legacy step that I did, but yet I kept going back and forth between these two because certain locations I wasn't allowed to bring this in because this is when Bluetooth and stuff like that came into play. Now, of course, at the time, right now, there are other watches that are much more smart or better, or in a way, has more features packed into it. Of course, like the Garmin Tactics, or this is a Instinct 2X. The Tactics series also is a really good one, but this one also has a ton of features built into it. And this is a superior watch. But again, if you are going into OPSEC locations or you're going into the military, one of these two watches is probably, or even having both of them, is going to suit your needs. You can do a lot with the Garmin, but you're going to have to leave it outside if you go into special secretive information, or you can just choose to send it with a mechanical or an automatic watch. But again, $180 for this thing, pretty solid, just my opinion. I would recommend this watch. Again, I've abused it a lot, and I'll probably try to throw B-roll in wherever I can find photos or stuff like that with this watch, which I don't know how much I have, but it was on me for so much. I'm gonna have to scrub through my photos and see like what photos I actually took with this watch at that time over the last decade to actually show you. But I would still say this has a place in modern society for you. If you're interested in this watch, honestly, this is a pretty good time to buy, right? I have heard horror stories of Suunto's customer service not being that great, but you can honestly work on this watch yourself. Like the buttons, I think I went over it before. I did have a failure of this watch, not a failure, but an issue. The button stopped working. So what I did is I just cracked it open. I went inside, which you can user do it, and I just bent the tab out a little bit. Each one of these has a tab, and it went back to new, brand new. I just kind of smashed it up against a concrete wall or something like that, and this button stopped working. You can fix it yourself with just literally tweezers, and that's fine. So that's kind of cool too. But ultimately, I recommend it. As a conclusion, this watch is super cool. Highly recommended. If you would be interested in purchasing this, I'm going to have a link in the description box below of the cheapest kind of genuine SUUNTO Core, because there are a lot of knockoffs anymore, because this watch was so successful there's a lot of knockoffs. So I'm going to give a link in the description box below. It does help me a little bit, right? I get a few cents if you purchase this. It helps out the channel. I greatly appreciate it if you would do that. If not, cool, you can go around and find other links if you like. But highly recommend the SUUNTO Core All Black. It has served me well for over a decade, and it will continue to do so. We'll see how long this thing honestly lasts, because still, I throw it on my wrist occasionally just to have nostalgia and use it, and I enjoy it. So if you like this kind of stuff, want to see more, want to see an update on this watch maybe in the next 2 to 5 years and see how far this thing I can push it, then definitely hit that like and that subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it. We have PayPal, we have Patreon, all that kind of stuff if you're interested. Also, we have merchandise, right? Like stickers, Prepared Airman stuff if you would like. It does help out the channel, that kind of stuff. But other than that, I hope y'all have a great day.